Illness can completely change the way we see ourselves. Women just
Mhm.
struggle with body image and now intimacy and wondering if they're still desirable. How did you navigate those emotional challenges, both personally and within your marriage? Welcome to Truth Bombs and Tantrums Marriage Real Talk podcast, the podcast for battle weary wives and couples who know that love is beautiful, but sometimes incredibly hard. I'm Veronica L. Nabizadeh, a marriage coach, a non litigating attorney, and a real life wife who almost walked away before discovering that some marriages don't need a new spouse, they need a new path forward. Around here, we don't pretend marriage is easy. We talk honestly about conflict, disappointment, healing, forgiveness, and the choices that can strengthen a marriage or slowly unravel it. Today's conversation is one every married couple needs to hear. None of us, and I mean none of us, gets to choose the hardships that come our way, be it illness, job loss, aging parents, military deployments, raising children with special needs, financial struggles, and grief. The question isn't whether life will test your marriage. The question is what happens to your marriage when it does. Today, I'm joined with an incredible woman. Her name is Robine Grause. She has been married 27 years. She's a military spouse, mother of three, breast cancer survivor, mental health professional, and a passionate advocate for emotional health, self-advocacy, and helping people make stronger choices for their lives. She knows firsthand what happens when life changes in an instant and how a crisis can either fracture a marriage or become the very thing that deepens it. Robin, welcome to Truth Bombs and Tantrums. I am just so happy that you are here with me.
Thank you for having me, Veronica. I really am excited to be on this podcast and answer your questions and get going.
Okay, Robin, we want to know, I want everyone to know all about Robine Grause. Tell us what makes you tick and why you are so passionate about the work you do today.
Well, I'm a Florida transplant via the military. I'm originally from the state of Maryland, and my heart is all along the East Coast.
Mm.
I'm a wife, I'm a military wife, I'm a mom, I'm a Christian, I'm a really good friend. My best friend and I have been friends for 57 years, and I have many other friends for about that long. And I love to laugh, but the thing I am is that I'm a breast cancer survivor, and my passions are my family, my community. And the other reason that I'm here is that I survived breast cancer and um, moved through the journey. And that is what I'm here to talk about today.
Oh, wow. Well, Robin, let's start at the beginning. You and your husband, Peter, had already built a life together when you received a stage 3C breast cancer diagnosis. Can you take
Mhm.
us back to that day? What went through your mind and what happened inside your marriage during those first few days?
Absolutely. My husband and I have been married 8 years, three children, just going through life. Life was good. We were enjoying being parents and, still being married. That's still young, in your marriage. And I had received a phone call from my doctor that they needed to talk to me about my testing, my mammogram and ultrasound testing,
Did you just go in
and
for a
said,
regular, like routine mammogram?
I I did. It was my routine mammogram and an ultrasound. And they called me to and let me know that what the findings were from the biopsy that I had done. I had the mammogram and ultrasound and a biopsy. and the results from the biopsy were not good. And it just, my whole world stopped. I just sat down where I was, and I had 100 questions. And then I had to make the dreaded phone call to my husband and just say, the results have come back. This is not good. And if you can come home early, that would be great. Just because I think I was a little bit in shock, you
Was he
know,
was he
and
deployed, or was he?
no, he was at the base.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Yeah, he was at the base, and he, he came home, and the truth is that we gathered our family that lived here in Jacksonville, and we went to Singleton's for the night for dinner, um, just to have a family dinner together and let everybody have a little bit of fun that evening. And it really helped me just be able to breathe and know that I had family locally. And then I had to notify all my family that lived in the Maryland area, that lived, in other places on the East Coast and throughout the United States.
Wow. Wow. So on the day that you found out that that you were given that diagnosis, your hubby came home, you guys went to dinner, and
We
then you
went to
told
dinner.
everyone, and then you garnered more help by telling your folks in Maryland.
Yes.
I don't know if
Mhm.
that's that. I don't know if that's even, I mean, I can imagine that some people would probably isolate and not tell. That's so wonderful that you didn't do that.
No, because I said earlier that I'm a Christian, and I just felt that I needed all the prayers that I could get in order to help me so that I could focus on my treatment, but I'm still a wife and I was still a mom,
Who are
you
young. They're
know?
they're below the age
I
of
was,
8.
yes, they were my kids were the oldest was in kindergarten and the twins were in preschool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
And
what surprised
yeah,
you most during those first
um
days?
I think how quickly everyone came together.
That's
I really how quickly the family gathered together to say what can we do, the phone calls, you know the people that we friends that we told, um everybody just sort of
rallied.
stopped and said, okay, this is a priority. And I think my husband and I were really blessed because of that.
I love that you went to your community after the diagnosis. That speaks volumes. And I can understand where some people might, be a little introverted about this, but you didn't.
Mhm.
I think most couples imagine growing old together. Few
Mhm.
imagine facing a life-threatening illness while raising a family. 3 boys, the oldest one being 6, and trying to keep everyday life moving. What surprised you most about marriage during this time?
Well, because our kids were small, um, we had a lot to consider. And the way we handled my cancer was that there was somebody in the family that had cancer, and that everything was going to, as much as it could, revolve around the family instead of there's a person in the family that has cancer and everything revolves around that person.
Hmm.
We approached it, as a family, even though the kids were really small. And they were, in my opinion, they were the focus, and we decided to keep everything as normal as possible. Kids continued to go to school every day. They participated in their little activities. Peter and I attend, with our children, attended church, and we just try to continue to live our lives each day as normal as possible.
I absolutely love that. You made it a family experience. And that,
Mhm.
to me, when I hear that, I feel that it wasn't just the one person having the experience, it was everybody having the experience. That is so wise,
Yes.
Robin.
Well,
Curious. Go ahead.
cancer affects cancer affects everyone, not just the person that has the disease.
That's right. That's absolutely
Mhm.
right. And serious illness changes everything. Suddenly,
Mhm.
the independent spouse, which was you, becomes the
Yes.
one needing help. And so, what was it like
Mhm.
to receive care from Peter? And what did that teach the both of you?
Well, number one, I am an independent spouse. Being a military wife, you learn to be extremely independent and you learn to be a leader for your family when your spouse is gone. And, Peter had to take the lead because I was sick. Um, I had to learn how to let go and allow him and others to help out and sort of not take my place, but in a way, fill in for when I couldn't be there. And learning that lesson was very difficult. But the flip side of it is that people wanted to help.
Hmm.
And I also had to learn that in allowing people to help, it made them feel good that they were contributing to my family and that they were making it better for my family. And so when people ask you for help, it's important to let them assist you.
I agree. I agree. It makes us feel better when we can offer help and it's received. I love that you
Hmm.
said that.
Yeah.
You shared that in the one of your casting for recovery retreats for women affected by breast cancer. You realized that many of these women felt that their emotional needs weren't being heard. So why do you think
Hmm.
emotional needs are so often overlooked, not just in healthcare, but sometimes within our own closest relationships, including marriage?
Well, I think because women, it's how we're wired. And women are taught from a very early age that we don't speak about our needs.
That's right.
Um, we're not taught to do that. We're taught to be polite. We are taught to um, listen. Uh, Women are caretakers.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to everyone else's needs. As moms, we are constantly responding to our children or responding to a spouse or to our parents or to a sibling. Um, and we always seem to put our needs last.
You're right.
And when we do that, we we miss opportunities to take good care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, I think women need to learn to speak up about their own needs.
Mm-hmm. From the
Mhm.
get-go, like you did when you called your
Yes.
family.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I called my family because they have always been a big central part of my life.
Mhm,
And the more people around me, I felt stronger.
mhm. And I can
Mhm.
imagine that when you have to be all hands on deck, emotions like we
Mhm.
don't want to make time for the emotions. We don't have time to
Right.
deal with them. So I can
That's correct.
understand that that would be something that could come up too. Did you
Yes.
experience that where you had to just set aside your emotions and just deal with the triage of recovery and appointments and treatment?
Sure. With any crisis, you address the crisis first
Hmm.
and you put your emotions to the side, because you just want to stay focused, address the issue, and, overcome it as quickly as possible.
Hmm.
In doing that, um, you push all of your fear aside, the anxiousness, and then when the dust has settled a little bit, then that's when all of those emotions start creeping back in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important to attempt to address some of those emotions early on,
Mm-hmm.
but it can be hard.
Yeah, and it's hard, like you said. We're women, we're trained to be quiet, we're trained to be nice, we're trained not to burden others. We're
Correct.
admonished when you're too sensitive, you're tough enough. And,
Yes,
and so all of that plays into it. Absolutely.
it does. It does.
And hard times have a way of exposing communication patterns that
Mm.
maybe we're already there. So, how did you and Peter learn to talk honestly about the fear or the uncertainty and the future without letting those conversations tear you apart?
So we learned to talk about that because it had to do with our faith and our church community and having a safe place to turn to. With our family, we had many members who had already been through health crisis or some other form of a crisis. Uh, a lot of our older relatives were happy to share hard times that they had endured and ways that they got through it with their marriage, ways they got through it with their children, and how they came out on the other side.
I love
And
that
things they
you
did
had.
wrong.
Go ahead,
Yeah, and
honey.
they even admitted things they did wrong. And so that just know I did this and didn't work out too well. So keep that in the back of your mind too.
They imparted their wisdom.
Yes.
I love that. They didn't pretend that you weren't going through something bad. They acknowledged that what you were going through is tough.
Well, I'll share this. My grandmother said to me that years ago, if someone had cancer, they called it the C word.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't even say the word,
Hmm.
and it was whispered, and nobody talked because it was too sensitive of a subject.
Hmm.
And I encourage people to talk about it. Don't hold it in. It is a crisis in your life. And this is the time that you should feel that you can reach out to people and share how you're feeling
And that's
and not,
incredible.
and for it not to be the C word.
Yes. That's, when you got your diagnosis, you went out to dinner, and you called
Hmm.
your relatives and it was community, come support me. That is amazing.
Yes.
And
Yeah. We wanted the kids to feel supported, knowing that we had to tell them this news. And I wanted them to know that they had other people to turn to.
that is so wise. I love that you had elders around you to share their wisdom with you to help you in that moment of crisis. Because I can imagine you were shocked, and
I was very shocked.
well, illness can completely change the way we see ourselves. Women just
Mhm.
struggle with body image and now intimacy and wondering if they're still desirable. How did you navigate those emotional challenges, both personally and within your marriage?
Well, it's a great question, and it was difficult. Women start very young learning who they are. Um, you know, when it comes to young girls, we learn very early on that we have beautiful hair, eyelashes, eyebrows, our physique is one way that we're considered beautiful, the way we dress, the way we present ourselves. And one of the things that cancer does is it strips a woman of all of those outside attributes that we have. You lose your hair, you lose your eyebrows, your eyelashes, some women lose their breast, both of them through a double mastectomy. Some women are altered because of lumpectomies. And for some women, it really does affect them. I was affected with weight gain, the swelling, the bloating, the hair loss, infections, and it takes a toll on who you think you are as a woman. But you have to understand that deep down, none of that defines you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
None of that defines you. What defines you is who you are and who you are at the end of this journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, once you come out on the other side, and you're no longer in the crisis of having cancer, you're past that. And you have to remember who you are. What is it that makes
Robin,
you,
Robin. Mm-hmm.
Robin, is it your kindness? Is it your humor? Is it the fact that you love to cook for your family or, fill in the blank?
Mm-hmm.
And that is who you are because you're going to rebuild. Your hair will come back. It might not come back the way it was. It might even come back a different color.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And texture, yeah.
but in texture, everything, my eyebrows didn't come back. I had big, beautiful eyebrows. They disappeared. And so I had them tattooed. And
They look
um,
beautiful. I did not
well,
know they
thank
were
you.
tattooed.
They are. And, I don't have long lashes anymore, but I'm happy for the ones that are there. And you just, you learn to accept yourself for who you are.
I love that
And
you
just
said these attributes because attributes are fickle. They leave. They're not
yes,
permanent. And so if we
that's
base our
correct.
identity on our eyebrows and our hair and our body physique, we're all getting old. We're all drooping.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, and I love that you just gave yourself grace and you just it feels like how you navigated it was with grace and full acceptance. You know?
Well, the thing is that when going through cancer, you're not in charge. The cancer is in charge because you didn't even know the cancer was in your body. So you have to learn some acceptance. But that doesn't mean you can't fight it now that you know that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know,
Or
you
understand
it's
it or what it's trying to
that's
communicate to you for being there and
that's correct.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all correct. And so I think um women need to give themselves some grace and understand that you're going to get through this and um learning acceptance makes it easier.
I love that. Giving yourself grace and radically
Mhm.
accepting yourself and knowing that attributes are temporary.
They are temporary.
Robin, one of your passions is helping people become better self advocates. How can wives learn to speak up for their own needs without creating more conflict in their marriages?
Mm. Well, I think women need to understand what their needs are. You need to learn what your needs are
Mm-hmm.
and why is this a need? Why do you feel that it's a need? And ask yourself those questions first before bringing a need into the marriage that might it you might necessarily have been able to figure it out yourself,
Mm-hmm.
or it's not as dramatic as you seem to think it might be,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Peter seems to be like such a knight in shining armor. He rallied to you, supported you. He became Mr. Mom. He
he did.
retired to support you.
He
Um,
did.
when, if any, did the conflict happen, or when was it really difficult to have that, the expressing your needs without making
Yeah.
it wobbly? Do you remember? Do you recall?
Yes. So a lot of that came um, after cancer. several years after we had gotten through treatments and surgeries, and, this dust had settled. And that's normally in any type of crisis is when you start to see areas that you didn't pay attention to. You didn't want to address the emotion. You put it on the back burner. You thought maybe if I ignore it long enough, it might go away, but that does not
That's
happen.
not a successful strategy, yet we all try it.
We all try it. It doesn't work.
Hmm.
And, it was afterwards because I also have to remember that my husband retired from the military. I had a diagnosis. We had small children. And now we were putting all the pieces back together that we had to push aside. And I have to say this, that I believe cancer changes you.
Hmm.
And I believe that it changes everyone around you and how they see cancer.
Hmm. I
And
agree.
because they watch it firsthand.
It's a
They
crisis.
see it is a crisis,
And
and they see the effects.
yeah,
And
I love
so,
that. It
yeah, so
changes everybody and everyone is involved.
no, it changes everybody. And therefore, you are different afterwards.
Hmm.
And you can't just go back to the way life was.
Hmm.
You have to pick up from where you are now.
Hmm.
And that is one of the things that we did. And we did it with help of family and friends and guidance, um, and others telling us you need a break from each other. Give each other space and grace.
Wow, that's a good lesson. Space and grace. I think that I agree. Space is what's needed in
Hmm.
moments of crisis when everyone is rallied to support and continue life. Well, your faith, Robin, has clearly been an anchor throughout your journey. How did this experience change your relationship with God, and how did it change your understanding of what marriage really is?
So, it changed my faith because it made it richer and deeper. Um, it I relied on my faith a lot, and I come from a very faithful family. And so my grandparents played a huge role in the development of my faith and why it was so strong. And I relied a lot on the people in my family and our friends who are who also have strong faiths. And, I relied on those friendships in order to help me through each day.
Mm. So your faith in God strengthened. How about your understanding of your marriage and what it really means or really is?
So, you know, um, the the best I can say is that Peter and I are such a good team together, and it showed during that time. You know, um, it it is very hard when you have two extremely independent people
Mhm.
who like to be in control and think that they are the CEO of the house. Well, you can't have two CEOs. That does not work.
Mhm.
So I had to learn, as I said earlier, to kind of let go and let Peter take charge,
Yeah.
you know,
And
let
you
him
had to learn
shine
that real time. You
in
didn't
real
have a
time.
runway. You had to like really learn it uh,
Yeah, no,
while it
it
was
was
all
very
happening.
quick. Yeah, because it was, I'll be really honest. I had a severe diagnosis. I had stage 3C cancer. Um, and
Would you mind telling our listeners what stage 3C cancer is?
oh, sure, I apologize. No, stage 3C breast cancer is the last stage before metastatic cancer.
Hmm.
And my cancer was estrogen positive, HER2 positive, and I have the CHEK2 gene.
Ooh, the check two
So
gene means that,
means it's part of the BRCA group.
oh, okay.
hmm And that's one of the reasons I do talk about self-advocacy is it was only later, um, several years ago, that I actually learned that I had the gene. And that's just because when I was originally diagnosed, that gene had not been discovered yet.
Okay, wow. So you did
And
not know
so,
even post-diagnosis that you had the BRCA gene.
no, because the CHEK2 gene had not been identified in the BRCA.
So just
So
so if we have anybody who's not familiar with the BRCA, can you just briefly say what that means?
the BRCA has to do with genetic um, genes that can cause breast cancer in your body. And at the time in 2008, when I was tested, the CHEK2 gene had not been discovered. And it's one of the reasons I talk about self advocacy and going back to your doctors and staying um, updated on new education in your diagnosis,
Mm,
whatever your diagnosis was.
mhm,
And, I actually made an appointment and went back to see my oncologist earlier this year, and to give her all my new information because I had questions as to how my cancer was handled at the time and did I need to be have any new concerns. And
smart, smart.
so she was able to answer all of my questions. And technology changes every day, and there's new drugs coming on the market for cancer every day. Research is done, and it's important to stay abreast on all of it.
Hmm. I love that advocacy part. And I think
hmm
it's going back to Peter, we naturally focus on the person that's going through the illness, but
Oh, right.
spouses carry an enormous emotional weight too. So what did you come to understand about Peter's experience that you didn't really fully appreciate while you were going through it?
Um, his fear, his fear for our family, fear for my health. But he put his leader hat on and just really pushed us through. And I um I have so much respect for him,
I do too.
as my husband and as a father, and how he pushed his emotions aside temporarily to help us navigate.
That was incredible that he rose to the occasion. He was already a leader, and I think that was such an
hmm
amazing transferable skill in that moment where you needed it both in that crisis for him just to lead and turn into Mr. Mom and be
hmm
there for you to support you and all while he had his own fear too.
hmm Yeah.
Well, Robin, one of the things that really stood out to me in your story was how nature became part of your healing. Learning to fly fish. Don't you have a cute little hat with your fly fish?
I
Which
do.
which fly fishing gave you the confidence and it helped you reconnect with your
They
I
have.
love that. I love that. And it allowed
Yes.
you to reconnect with your body and even for a little while, even forget that you had cancer. And by the way, folks, Robin is wearing a hat and she's made all those beautiful fly
Little
fishing.
ties.
Do
My
you
little
sell
ties.
do you sell them?
No, I
No.
don't sell.
So tell us about what nature did teach you about healing and why you believe healing isn't just physical, but emotional and spiritual as well.
So I grew up um just in Maryland, and the weather there is beautiful. The four seasons. And so I spent a lot of time outside anyhow as a kid, and running, summers barefoot, uh,
Mm.
slide going down the hill because there was snow on our sleds. It was really a lot of fun. And nature is naturally healing. for you. You go outside, you want to get some fresh air, take a deep breath in, but nature allows you to be reflective. And I attended Casting for Recovery, which is a retreat for women who have been through breast cancer at any time in their journey, excuse me. And they teach you to fly fish. And fly fishing is a very similar exercise that is used for lymphedema
Mm-hmm.
and for swelling. And many women with breast cancer end up with a lot of swelling, lymphedema, bloating, weight gain, and so forth. And your arm can hurt. It can actually, it can be very painful. And so this exercise is similar to the exercise for lymphedema. The beauty is that you are outside in nature,
Mm-hmm.
you're challenging yourself, you're laughing at yourself, um, you're focusing on something that's not your cancer, and you're learning a new skill. Like I said, you challenge yourself, and it just gives you an opportunity to forget that you've been through this experience because you're learning whole new experience and you're connecting with nature.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you connect with nature, it's positive. And
Mm-hmm.
so unless, yeah, it's positive.
It really, unless you're going through a tornado or hurricane. But yes,
Yes,
nature has a
yes,
way of quieting the inner storm. It has a
it
way of
does.
grounding us. I love that.
It does. Yeah. And I just like being out in nature. It's for me it's very soothing to the soul.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Okay. I always like to end with one truth bomb. If there's a battle weary wife listening today, which there's a battle weary wife listening today whose marriage
Absolutely.
feels overwhelmed by life circumstances, whether illness, caregiving, financial stress, or something else, what would you want her to know before she gives up?
I would want her to know that she should invest in herself.
Mm,
She should take some time for herself to figure out what her needs are. Why do I feel like this is a need? Why do I feel like I need to share it in my marriage? Take some time for yourself. Invest in yourself. You know, if there's areas that you want to improve, then you should you should work on those areas. A lot of times we don't realize that when we take the focus completely off of ourselves, because as women we tend to do that.
mm-hmm. Selfless. Mm-hmm.
We're selfless. We stop investing in ourselves.
Or we don't
We
want to,
stop
yeah,
paying.
we don't want to waste money. We don't know. It just feels incongruent with who we are because we're givers, we're doers,
Correct.
we're
That's
connectors.
correct.
To be in the
Yes,
receiving is hard. I love that's your
it
truth
is.
bomb.
Yes, invest in yourself. Look at yourself, areas you'd like to change. Give yourself that permission. Give yourself grace.
Yeah, grace has been a through line throughout this whole interview, Robin. I love that we're ending with it. Um, Robin, I love you and thank you for sharing your story so
Thank you.
honestly today. What our listeners have heard is that while we don't get to choose our storms, we do get to
No,
choose how we respond to them, whether we allow them to drive us apart or bring us closer together. So before we wrap
absolutely.
up, where can listeners learn more about you and your work?
Well, they can reach me at 904-426-5893. They can reach me at robingrause@gmail.com and follow me on Facebook. And on Facebook, um, I will be putting out my website in the future.
I love that. And thank you for giving us your number and your email and your Facebook handle. I will absolutely include that in our show notes. So thank you. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me on.
it's been so It's been a delight, Robin. I've loved learning about you. I'm actually going to learn how to fly fish. Maybe not in
Good.
Jacksonville, but
No.
not now in the heat of the summer. But I absolutely am inspired to fly fish, and I love being out in nature. So, this message is now to our listeners. If today's conversation encouraged you or reminded you that you are not alone, would you do me a favor and please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it? And if you're a battle weary wife wondering whether your marriage can heal, I want to encourage you to pick up my book just released. Don't throw in the towel yet if it's worth fighting about, it's worth fixing. It's available now through your favorite online retailer and bookstores everywhere. You can also find additional resources, coaching opportunities, and upcoming events at marriagerelationshiprestart.com. I'm Veronica L. Nabizadeh with my most awesome guest, Robine Grause. And this has been Truth Bombs and Tantrums, the Marriage Real Talk podcast. Until next time, don't fake fine. Don't go quiet. Be like Robin. Ask for help. Reach out to your community. And for the love of all that's sacred, don't throw in the towel yet, because if it's worth fighting about, it's worth fixing. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Robin, for sharing all that you did today.
Thank you.